From Blood Alley to the Vultures to the neighborhoods in the 1970s, all the way to the neighborhood Bloods in 1978, the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods have a very in-depth attachment to the city of Los Angeles. Plus, from killing sprees, multiple drive-bys, and known gang wars, the NHBs have a notorious history that's earned the gang its respect in the streets. Yeah. Alright. Welcome to Cali's Most Dangerous. Let's get into it. On June 1st, 2005, Giovanni Crowder, a member of the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods, and his girlfriend Shay Jackson, who was affiliated with the neighborhood Rollin 40 Crip gang, were sitting outside his apartment, which is in the territory of the Black P Stone Bloods, a blood gang the NHBs are known to be close with. Well, the two were just chilling, keeping each other company, you know what I'm saying? Just making sure the vibes was right. The vibes was right, everything was cool. Until James Williams, a member of the neighborhood Rollin 40 Crips, he drove up, parked, and waited for Dean Williams to come out. The two of them knew each other through their Crip affiliations. Like already mentioned, James belonged to the Rollin 40 Crips, and Dina was a member of the Gear Gang Crips. Dina comes out of her aunt's house and speaks with Williams. Ricardo sees James chopping it up with Dina and told Jackson to talk to her homeboy while James went to his apartment. Well, Jackson crossed the street, spoke to James through his car window. They're going back and forth, and James, he's been a nigga. He started flirting with her, and he offered to give her a ride home. Well, Jackson denied and told him that Crowder was her boyfriend. Crowder then comes across the street, stands next to Jackson, and doesn't say a word. Sensing tension, like she knew it was tension already, Dina, she made it clear to Crowder that James was only there for her. He wasn't there for no issues and nothing like that. But Crowder didn't care. He didn't care about none of that. He leans into the car window and asks James where he was from. Alright, like I already mentioned, Jackson was already affiliated with the neighborhood Rollin 40 Crips. She voiced her disapproval, but Crowder told her to be quiet. He wasn't trying to hear none of that. That's when James replied he was from the neighborhood Rollin 40 Crips. Where Crowder responds, "I'm 20 Bloods," reaches for his gun and fired multiple shots at James before running away. Jackson later found Crowder's gun in the alley and tossed it in some bushes. Williams died at the scene, unfortunately, due to multiple gunshot wounds. Crowder was later apprehended after traveling out the state. He did the dash for a while. He was not trying to get caught up, so he was on a run for a good little minute. But on that same night, Jackson was detained for being an accessory to murder after the fact and possession of a concealed weapon. In exchange for her testimony at Crowder's trial, she received time served, which is about 15 months. The court trial, however, sentenced Crowder to a term of 50 years to life in prison. This is a retaliation murder done by the NHBs on a Harlem Rollin 30 Crips. At about 6:45 p.m. on March 14, 2016, LAPD responded to a call towards 1801 West Adams Boulevard. When the officer arrived, he saw Bradford Smith laying on the ground. Smith had been shot and killed. He was a member of the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods gang and went by the name Baby Slick. Well, after Baby Slick's death, the NHBs were looking for revenge, and it happened to be right around the corner. That same night, it's alleged that Trayvon Adams and two other Rollin 20 neighborhood Blood members went out riding looking for enemies when they spotted some and prepared to put in work. At about 10:38 p.m. on March 14, 2016, a witness was working at Sam's liquor store on 9th Avenue and Jefferson Boulevard when he heard a series of two gunshots about 5 minutes apart. Minutes later, LAPD officers arrived at the scene and observed Lorenzo Ambrosio laying on the ground. Ambrosio was still alive, but he was bleeding. He had a lot of blood coming out. Unfortunately, Ambrosio later died from the gunshot wound. Sammy's liquor store was located in the Rollin 30 Crips territory, so the cops already were leaning towards the incident being a gang shooting. They already had a hunch, and they, that in their head, they're like, okay, this has to have been like a gang shooting, ain't no way around it. From nearby footage taken from the surrounding area of the incident, LAPD was able to see a white Chevy Malibu turn right on 9th Street, traveling north toward Jefferson before a person shot at the Chevy Malibu. About 3 to 6 minutes later, Ambrosio was riding his bicycle on a sidewalk towards Sammy's liquor store when the same Chevy Malibu drove on that same corner. A video showed a series of sparks and Ambrosio fell to the ground as the Chevy Malibu drove away. But look, pay attention because the story gets deep. This is a lot of lesson. This is a lesson for a lot of us, to be real. Like, the guy's phones and social media was used to help arrest and ultimately convict him. Messages posted to Adams' Facebook account included RTBIP, baby slick, man. I just talked to you 2 minutes ago. Again, my ears hunting right now. RTBIP stands for Rollin, Blood and Peace, basically. Underneath that message were crying faces, praying hands, thumbs downs, and gun emojis. Another message stated, body for body, followed by 3 thumbs down and a gun emoji. Adams' account contained photos of defendants displaying Rollin 20 blood gang signs and gangs disrespectful to the Rollin 30 Crips. The social media and videos of the incident was enough evidence to arrest the NHB's members and place a warrant on their phone. On June 22nd, 2016, NHB's members were arrested for the murder. They were taken to a police station and placed in the same holding cell equipped with a recording device. Not knowing they were being recorded, they basically were talking to code about what went down. It's a lot of conversation recorded. You know, they were mentioning the car, the cell phones, how they should have been turned off on airplane mode. You know, just basically a lot of stuff used to incriminate them in the end. Ultimately though, Adams was found guilty of possession of a firearm and an assault rifle by a felon, and the court sentenced Adams to 12 years in prison, which included a 5-year gang enhancement. Lesson 1. If you're doing dirt, stay off of social media. Even the smallest hint or mention can get you caught up. Lesson 2. Keep your mouth closed about anything that can get you sent to prison, especially if you're in a cell already, or if you're being interviewed or interrogated. You can be dry snitching and not even know it. On the morning of December 31st, 2007, Dwight Marquise McDowell, also known as Pee-wee, a known Rollin 20 neighborhood blood member, and his girlfriend drove to a swap meet in Los Angeles so he could buy a shirt. Dwight wanted to buy a long sleeve shirt because he planned to be in a rival gang's area later that day and wanted to cover his tattoos on his arms. While Dwight was inside the swap meet, his girlfriend was shopping in a nearby beauty supply store. At first, everything was good. He was browsing the swap meet, you know, watching his back, and of course he was protected. In his pocket was a gun he brought from his friend a day before because 1 month earlier, his house had been shot up. So he was watching out, looking out, making sure he was right and everything like that. But things went south quick because that same day, Danny Alexander, ex-Kenosha with a 666 tattoo on the back of his head to represent his gang, 18th Street, and his cousin, Melvin Revilla, also headed to the swap meet that day to buy some clothes. 18th Street are rivals of the neighborhood Rollin 20 Blood, so it's pretty much issues whenever they confront each other. Well, the two ended up running into each other at the entrance of the swap meet, and Dwight asked Danny, "Where you from?" And Danny responded in Spanish, 18th Street Barrio, to which was replied with "the fuck 18th Street" by Dwight before he started letting off multiple shots. Dwight shot at least twice at Danny, who ran inside the swap meet, followed by him then shooting Revere twice in the leg. So Danny gets on, like he managed to hide behind a concrete planter, but Dwight, he still kept shooting. He was still shooting at him. All together, Dwight shot at the man 9 or 10 times, you know, before he had to get on. His girlfriend was waiting in the car, so they get on and they drive away from the scene. Danny and Rivera survived, with only Rivera getting shot, and ultimately, Dwight was sentenced to 25 years in life for the attempted murders. Danger rating for the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods. The danger rating for the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods, they're gonna get a 9 out of 10 because of the gang's history of violence in the Los Angeles area, their willingness to engage in basically war with any gang storylines of multiple murders, extortions, whether it's through things like trafficking or setups, and multiple other storylines that this gang is known for. But why even so high or so low for some of y'all? Like, y'all heard my score, the reason why for that matter. Like, that's 3 storylines that give at least a little bit of an explanation or example of, you know, how this gang operates, you know what I'm saying? You guys let me know how y'all feel about them in the comments. Like, should I have gone higher? Should I have gone lower? Is there any of the storylines you guys could think of that you know, give you guys an example of why you give them your personal gang story or rate? Or anyways, is there any other storylines that you guys could think of? Any personal stories? Y'all let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about this. But we're gonna go in depth. We're gonna talk about more storylines. We're gonna talk about all that as we address who are the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods. The neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods, also known as Dove Gang or Blood Gang, started in the West Adams neighborhood of South Los Angeles, California. They're predominantly an African American gang, but they're known to put on other races too. It's been a lot of Belizeans, a few Mexicans from the set, and also some whites as well. You can't just be no chump, man. Put your hands up. Get ready to bump, nigga. Bars. When it comes to cliques, they had a few over the years since the gang's formation. The Triple OGs mostly composed of a few cliques. During the 1970s, they had 25th and 27th Street. And these cliques were also known as Deuce 7 and the 5 Deuce Players. The 29th Street clique was formed in the south side of the neighborhood towards Jefferson Avenue. By 1984, the 2nd Avenue Gangsters, also known as SAG, also known as the Avenues on the north side of Santa Monica Freeway, were added to the set. And by the late 1980s, the Black Demon Soldiers, also known as BDS, which were also on the north side of the freeway, were added. This clique was formed and ran with the Iron Fist by Triple OG Bloodhound. Other cliques include the BBNs or the Brazilian Blood Nation. But yeah, no, Bloodhound, he didn't play, man. He had numerous stories. They're like too crazy to put on YouTube. There's no, this nigga was like the Blood Grim Reaper, man. You didn't want to play with this fool. You didn't want to come in contact with him. I promise you. When it comes to territories, the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods have one of the largest territories of any blood gang in Los Angeles County and have the 3rd largest neighborhood of any black gang in Los Angeles County as well. They cover areas from South Jefferson to north of Pico. On the north side of the freeway, they occupy areas between east of Vermont and approximately west of Vermont between roughly Jefferson and the 10th freeway. They also occupy parts of West Arlington, but that area is mostly occupied by the City Stones, the Black P Stones. In addition, they have the north side of the 10th freeway. They occupy the area between West Crenshaw and east of Western, and the area from north of Pico to south of the 10th freeway. In terms of colors and gang logos of the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods, of course, it's the Red Rags. They Bloods, nigga. They also identify themselves as the New York Yankees, the Texas Rangers, Chicago Bulls, and the Boston Red Sox baseball team logos. The New York Yankees logos represents the sets under the neighborhood Blood umbrella. And the Boston Red Sox are also worn by the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods because it symbolizes the Blood Alliance. But y'all heard a couple of the stories, man. Y'all know the location and everything like that. But it's a lot more than team logos and a couple stories, man. Let's get into the history of the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods. History of the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods. What card they went with, subsets, cliques, allies, past and current beefs, and a lot of other things. The formation of the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods goes back before the start of the Bloods. During the 1950s and 60s, there was a gang in an area called Blood Alley on Cordova Street, which was a predecessor neighborhood to the Rollin 20 Bloods. In the early 1970s, when black gangs were on the rise, the youth from this neighborhood continued the blood identity from the previous generation. The neighborhoods, along with other gangs like the Hoover families, the Black P Stones, particularly the Biddy Stones, the Outlaws, and the Midtown families represented the Rollin 20 Bloods. The neighborhoods added the Bloods to the identity title between 1978 and 1980. And over time, the different factions, while remaining close, start to form their own identities. The neighborhood Bloods, however, kept the Rollin 20 name in their title, however. One thing we gotta make clear, pay attention because I know y'all curious about this too. The term Rollin 20 was around before the formation of the Rollin O's Crips Alliance and before the neighborhood Crips as well. The term Rollin was used in the early 1970s and carried into the gang's names when they developed. Today, we think of it as like a Quip Alliance thing and stuff like that when you hear the term Rollin, but the term Rollin pre-existed that. The Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods actually used the term neighborhood and called themselves the neighborhood families before they were even Bloods in the 1960s. To simplify things, this means that the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods or any Rollin Bloods were never and will never be parallel to the Crips. Gangs that would become Bloods were using the term neighborhood and Rollin before the Crips were. Another thing we gotta make clear is that the outlaw Rollin 20 Bloods and the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods are two different gangs. Like already mentioned, these gangs went by the same name, the Rollin 20s, but this was during the early stages of the gangs. As the gangs grew and kept the title, the two, they retained the same identities, but you know, they're both real respected and they're actually close. You know, they fight, they function together and everything like that, and they've never been in any conflicts. But I do have a question for the Rollin 20 Bloods, or anyone with their ears tapped into the streets. Which Rollin 20 Blood came first, the Outlaws or the neighborhoods? Y'all let me know in the comments. Allies of the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods. The neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods don't have a lot of allies, but the gangs that they do have close ties with, they're damn near family with them. They have a close alliance with the Black P Stones, particularly the Biddy Stones, known as the Rolling Stone Alliance, as well as the Fruitown Brims, the Bloodstone Villains, and the Outlaw 20 Bloods. Like already mentioned, these are two different gangs who are geographically on opposite locations, with the Outlaws been on the east and the Neighborhood Bloods been on the west. Despite all that, the gangs are still very close and they're all still functioning together. They're cool with the West Side Drifters. The NHBs are very close with the Harpies 13s as well though, which is a perennial gang that operates in that same area. You know, it's a running joke that basically the Harpies was a Mexican set for the NHBs basically. Rivals of the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods. The NHBs go at it with a lot of gangs in Los Angeles. The NHBs beef with the neighborhood Rollin 40 Crips, the neighborhood Rollin 50 Crips, the neighborhood Rollin 60 Crips, and pretty much the rest of the NHC gangs. They also beef with the Schoolyard Crips, the West Boulevard Crips, the Gear Gang Crips, the Mansfield Gangster Crips, and the Playboy Gangster Crips are rivals of theirs as well. They also go at it hard with the gang known as the 18th Street. They've been at war with this gang since around the 1990s due to them being close with the Black P Stones. I go into it more in the Black P Stones video, but the 18th Street tried to set up shop in the BPS territory and you know they wasn't having it. But the most known feud that this set is known for engaging in is the Harlem Rollin 30 Crips. Beef with the Harlem Rollin 30 Crips. Nigga, this beef right here, nigga. This beef right here, nigga. Nah, this is one of the biggest beefs in like the history of Los Angeles. And when it comes to Crip versus Blood rivalry, this is like one of the biggest ones. It's been bodies dropped between these gangs, bro. Like bodies, man. You've already heard some stories that I mentioned earlier between the two gangs, man. But this beef goes back into the 1970s as the Harlem Rollin 30 Crips that killed the Hooper family. And like we already mentioned, man, in the early years of the gang's formation, the Hooper families and the neighborhood Bloods, they were close to each other, man. They were damn near family, man. They had families from the same set, so it was natural that they would inherit this beef too. This sparked like several back and forth shootings, and they turned into all-out wars by the 1980s. The Rollin 30 Harlem Crips has been feuding with the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods ever since. This feud between the gangs is one of the most violent conflicts on the west side of South Los Angeles between Bloods and Crips. Unfortunately, it's like I said, it's claimed dozens of lives in the process of this war, whether it was through death or even in prison. Like there's still OGs who are locked up to this day because of murders and setups and different things amongst this gang. It slowed down a lot compared to the 80s, but all the way up to the 2000s and even recently, it's still smoke between these gangs. I know it's a lot to ask for a Blood set and a Crip set who beef for so many years to put the beef aside, but like I ain't gonna lie, I'm an optimistic person, man. Like it's possible. I'm not gonna lie, it's possible. How the OGs talk it out. I'm not saying they gotta be buddy, kumbaya, nothing like that, but at least to put the shit aside, man, and go from there would be a huge step for the process of ending gang violence in the city of Los Angeles. Like it's too much money out for us kings to be killing each other. I know if the guns can't put down, like put their hands up, go from there. We got kids, so let's make the future better for them. But what do y'all think though? Any chance of the gangs, them putting that stuff aside and at least starting a truce, or them be neutral, or is that like not even a part of the conversation right now? Y'all let me know in the comments how y'all really feel about that. Prominent figures from the set, man, who the OGs, the YGs, the rappers, man, shit like that. Doing my research, I found a few of the OGs who are no longer with us. So rest in peace to James Chambers, also known as Jimbo. Rest in peace to Triple OG Iceman and CK Man. The neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods have a lot of reputables, OGs and rappers that have either made them what they are today or putting in work for the game. Some of the OGs and founders include T. Coleman, Frankie German, Dwayne Newton, Skip Townsend, Coco, and Big Red. They also have a few rappers who have definitely put in work for the set. A few of them include Ty Dolla. Yeah, he's pretty much like low-key about his affiliation, but definitely from the neighborhood Rollin 20 Bloods. And I don't have to hype this man up, man. Like if you don't know about classes like Tooted and Booted or Nah, you definitely slipping on your pimping. Another is D Savage. Yeah, this nigga, he's hard, bro. I've been a fan of him since like 2016, 17. Like he's been doing his stuff too. Like he originally started with like the the mumble rappers and everything like that, but he definitely set himself apart from all that since then. He's been doing his thing, man. Like, don't sleep on this dude, man. Do not sleep on him. Go look up D Savage, hard beats, catchy lyrics, you know, dope melodies. And despite all the melodies and stuff like that, he has a strong street appeal about him when you hear his music. Look him up. That's my word. You won't be disappointed. Another rapper is Jag, man. He's hard too. I honestly just found about him, but he's been putting his mark on the Los Angeles music scene for a while. And man, he's dope too, bro. Like he's been doing his thing. He has same thing, catchy flow, dope lyrics. Like he's probably like if we're gonna say lyricism, he's probably the best lyricist out of all these guys. No cap at all. There's also some out-of-state rappers doing their things as well, like NPR Tito. He's been putting in a lot of work for the set as well. But yeah, man, all these cats are hard. Y'all definitely gotta go check them out if you haven't already. Current state of the Rollin 20 neighborhood bloods. The NHB still have a lot of reputables putting in work and keeping the gang active and still going hard to this day. Over the years, the Dub Gang have engaged in several wars with gangs like the Harlem Rollin 30 Crips and 18th Street, but that has never slowed the gang down. They have grown to the point where they have some members and subsets out of state as well. They have subsets in Michigan, Georgia, Florida, Baltimore, the DMV, New Jersey, New York, Belize, and I know it's some other states I'm leaving out, so y'all let me know in the comments what state y'all in. Rep your state, bro. Rep your state. In conclusion, if you didn't get anything else from this video, get that danger score. Get those stories. Get that media coverage. These guys are not a group you want to come against. If you do, I promise it's going to be more intense. You're going to take a beating or some shots. These niggas don't got no sense. Bars, nigga. Nah, seriously, the purpose of this video is to get some history and some context of how these gangs started. It's often that our history is told from people who are not invested in it or have never even set foot in our environment. I want to shed some light on what's going on in our communities though, but not just the bad. I want to get some light to the good as well. It's a lot of good going on in these areas, and I plan on showing all that. With that being said, I make jokes and I play around in my videos, but this lifestyle is real. These gang members lose friends and family on a daily, so I want you guys to definitely feel entertained, but I want you to truly put some thought on how you can make your community better, whether you're a gang member or a civilian. On that note, let me get a like and subscribe from the gang. Hit that bell if it went well. What do y'all think though? Like, any crazy stories from the NHBs? Any close calls? Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Y'all let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. Y'all stay safe and dangerous out there.